Really don't care what happens to her at all. I don't care. Like everybody they tiptoe around with this social media, but what y'all don't get is that it be real consequence for y'all little flexes, y'all quick flexes for $300 that you need. It be consequence.
Imagine being a child too young to understand how adults can turn love into something that feels like punishment. Imagine looking into the face of your mother on a screen while tears roll down your cheeks because you don't know why you can't go home. That was the moment that broke so many hearts and started a firestorm nobody was prepared for. Teyana, Taylor's daughter, innocent and confused, sat holding a phone and whispered words no child should ever have to say. "Why can't I go home?" And when that clip leaked online, everything exploded. The public turned on Aaron Pierre in an instant, and the entire story turned into something darker, something that pulled everyone deeper into the chaos that had been brewing for months. People who know Teyana say she's always been fiercely protective of her little girl. Even when her own life was falling apart, she made sure her daughter felt safe and loved. But when Aaron came into her world, everything shifted. Some say he was a calming presence, a man who just wanted to build a new chapter with her. Others claim he was controlling from the start, that he wanted to step into the role of protector and never knew where to draw the line. Either way, when Teyana and Aaron decided to live together, it was clear the past was never going to stay in the past. Because Iman Shumpert, Teyana's ex, wasn't just some distant figure. He was her daughter's father, and that bond was something no one could erase, no matter how hard they tried to pretend it didn't matter. From the first day Aaron and Iman were aware of each other, there was tension. At first, it was polite but cold. Aaron would stay silent when Iman came to pick up the little girl, and Iman would avoid eye contact, his jaw clenched tight. But as time went on, it turned into something else: snide comments, indirect shade on social media, little gestures that grew into bigger accusations. It wasn't just about who Teyana chose to love. It was about who had the right to be there for her child. And it was about pride, too, because neither man wanted to look weak or irrelevant. Every encounter became another chapter in a book that none of them knew how to stop writing. People watching from the outside could see the storm coming, but no one could have predicted how ugly it would get. The trouble really started over something that should have been simple: a weekend visit. Teyana's daughter was scheduled to spend a weekend with her mother. Everyone agreed on it, and there were texts confirming the plan. But late Friday night, Teyana started getting messages that Aaron had decided she should stay at his place instead. At first, she thought it was a misunderstanding. She called and texted, trying to figure out why anyone would change the plan without telling her. But no one answered. Hours passed, and she felt her chest tighten with that unique panic only a mother can understand, knowing your child is somewhere you can't reach. When Teyana finally got through on FaceTime, her daughter was sitting on the couch, her hair messy and her cheeks streaked with tears. She was holding the phone so close to her face that all Teyana could see was her big, brown eyes blinking back tears. The little girl's voice was small and shaking as she asked, "Why can't I go home?" In that moment, it didn't matter who was right or wrong. All Teyana could hear was the sound of her child's heart breaking, and all she could feel was helplessness. She tried to stay calm, tried to tell her baby everything would be okay, but inside, she was falling apart. Someone, maybe a friend trying to help, recorded part of that call. They thought it would be proof if this ever had to be settled in court. But somehow, that video didn't stay private. Before the sun came up the next morning, it was posted online by an anonymous account. It only took minutes before it was everywhere, on gossip blogs, on Twitter, on Instagram feeds. The clip was short, less than 30 seconds, but it was enough to ignite a wildfire. You could hear the little girl's shaky breath, see the tears dripping onto her pajamas, and watch Teyana's face crumple as she tried to reassure her that she was coming soon. And in the background, you could see Aaron walking past, not even looking at the screen. The reaction was immediate and vicious. Thousands of comments poured in, most of them condemning Aaron. People called him selfish, controlling, even abusive. Some said he had no business making decisions about a child who wasn't his. Others said Teyana should never have let him into their lives. The hashtags started trending. Hashtag let her go home. Hashtag protect Teyana's daughter. Celebrities began to weigh in, with some posting their own stories about blended families and the need for clear boundaries. But no matter what side people were on, almost everyone agreed on one thing: that little girl should never have been put in the middle of this mess. Aaron tried to defend himself. He released a statement through a spokesperson saying he was simply following the agreed schedule and that he never intended to cause pain. He insisted he cared deeply about the child and had only done what he thought was best. But by then, the damage was done. His words felt hollow compared to the rawness of that video. It didn't matter what he claimed. In the court of public opinion, he was already guilty. Teyana didn't say much at first. For 2 days, she stayed silent while the internet tore Aaron apart. Those close to her said she was in shock. She felt like she was living in a nightmare she couldn't wake up from. She couldn't believe that the private pain of her daughter crying for her had become entertainment for millions of strangers. When she finally did post, it was a short, quiet message. A child should never have to feel confused or scared. This is not okay. It was only one sentence, but it felt heavier than any long-winded explanation. Behind the scenes, lawyers were already moving fast. There were talks of filing emergency motions to restrict Aaron's involvement in visitation. Insiders said Teyana was considering seeking full custody. Some sources claimed she was documenting every incident, every time her daughter came home upset, every time plans were changed without her knowledge. It was becoming clear that this wasn't just about one weekend gone wrong. It was about a pattern of behavior that had been building for a long time. Meanwhile, Iman couldn't resist adding his own commentary. He didn't name anyone directly, but he posted a message that everyone knew was aimed at Aaron. Some people forget what it means to protect a child. It ain't about you. Fans flooded his page with messages of support, calling him the real father and urging him to step in to end the drama. Even people who normally stayed neutral were taking sides. It was like everyone picked up a pitchfork, ready to assign blame. In private, though, the story was much more complicated. Aaron genuinely believed he was doing what was best. He felt Teyana's life was too chaotic sometimes, that her career and the constant media attention made it hard for her daughter to have a stable routine. He thought he was providing something solid, something predictable. But what he didn't understand, or maybe refused to see, was that no matter how good his intentions were, he was crossing a line that wasn't his to cross. And the moment he ignored Teyana's calls and kept her daughter away, he lost any moral high ground he thought he had. The court filings that followed were scathing. Teyana's legal team described a pattern of manipulation and emotional harm. They included screenshots of messages, witness statements from friends and family who had seen the arguments firsthand, and even reports from a counselor who noted that the child had started showing signs of anxiety. The filings painted a picture of a man trying to assert control over a situation he never fully understood. Aaron's lawyers fired back, accusing Teyana of weaponizing public opinion and insisting he had only ever tried to help. And in the middle of it all, a little girl was left wondering why the people she loved kept turning her life into a battlefield. Her counselor later shared that she had started asking questions that no child should have to ask. She wanted to know why she had to be careful about what she said, why adults were always angry, why she couldn't just go home when she wanted to. Each question was like another crack in the fragile sense of security her parents were supposed to provide. While the legal teams battled behind closed doors, the internet kept feeding on the drama. Every day brought new rumors, stories about Aaron moving out, whispers about Teyana considering a restraining order, speculation that Iman was about to file for more custody himself. Some of it was true, most of it wasn't, but it didn't matter. In the age of viral headlines, perception becomes reality, and everyone felt entitled to an opinion. Days after the storm had settled, or at least after the world thought it had, Teyana finally stepped out. The moment she appeared, the paparazzi swarmed her like sharks sensing blood in the water. Flashbulbs popped. Phones recorded every inch of her guarded expression. But Teyana didn't play their game. Head bowed low, eyes shielded by sunglasses, she clutched her daughter close, her hand firm and protective around those small shoulders. It was a silent message louder than any headline. "I'm done." The crowd shouted questions, invasive and relentless. But she didn't answer, not because she couldn't, but because she wouldn't. She had already spoken through her silence. That protective gesture told a story all on its own. It screamed that no one, not the media, not Aaron, not anyone else, would decide what her family looked like anymore. The noise, the judgment, the gossip, she was done letting it in. And beneath that armor of calm was a fierce determination. No matter what comes next, her daughter would never know the fear, confusion, or shame she had to endure. This story, it's never just about Teyana and Aaron. It's about how love, when pushed and pulled without respect, can rot from the inside out, turning something beautiful into something toxic and dangerous. It's about how grown adults sometimes forget the innocent eyes watching their every move, the little hearts absorbing every harsh word, every slammed door. Kids aren't invisible. They carry those scars silently, long after the world has moved on. And then there's the internet, relentless and unforgiving, turning private heartbreak into public spectacle, turning real pain into clicks and likes. Just because the hashtags fade doesn't mean the wounds do. If there's one truth here, it's this: no relationship, no matter how complicated or passionate, is worth sacrificing a child's safety. No ego, no pride, no grudge can justify making a little girl feel unwanted or scared in her own home. And no one, no matter how they dress it up, has the right to make her cry for her mother. As this saga continues to unfold, people will keep choosing sides, dissecting every statement, and arguing about who is right. But maybe the real question isn't who is justified. Maybe the only question that matters is how to make sure that little girl never has to look into a camera again and ask, "Why can't I go home?" Because at the end of the day, she's the only one who never had a choice in any of this. And she deserves so much better.